Yeah. Ever glanced at the spell list in D&D 5e and felt like you were staring into this massive abyss of arcane possibilities?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Whether you're a seasoned adventurer wading through, a sea of magic, or maybe you're a newcomer just kind of peeking at the shoreline, you're probably wondering which spells are the real game changers.
Mm-hmm.
Which ones will make your character truly shine? If that sounds familiar, you've definitely found the right deep dive.
Absolutely. The sheer number of spells available can feel, well, overwhelming. Our goal today is to take a curated selection directly from the basic rules for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition D&D Beyond and really unpack what makes them tick.
Right.
Think of this as your shortcut to understanding some key spells, not just like a dry recitation of rules, but a look at how they can actually play out at the table.
Exactly. We're not just reading descriptions here. Our mission is to highlight spells that offer interesting strategic choices, maybe some that fly under the radar a bit, and explore how they can inject some serious fun and effectiveness into your D&D games.
Yeah, help you make informed decisions.
Exactly, for your characters, and see the exciting potential that magic holds. So, are you ready to explore?
Let's begin where all spellcasting journeys kind of start, with cantrips. Those invaluable zero-level spells you can cast again and again without using up any spell slots.
Ah, yes.
They might seem minor, but they often provide essential utility and can even pack a surprising punch sometimes.
Ah, yes, the unsung heroes of the spell list. Like Guidance, a simple cleric cantrip. On the surface, it just adds a little something to an ability check.
But what's fascinating is how that little something can change everything. With a touch and a moment of concentration, you grant a willing creature the ability to add a d4, just a four-sided die, to one ability check they make within the next minute.
One check, okay.
Right. Think about a tense moment. A rogue trying to pick a lock that stands between the party and a crucial objective.
Yeah.
A well-timed guidance could be the difference between success and a blaring alarm.
Yeah, totally.
It's a subtle way to influence the odds in those critical moments.
That's a fantastic point. It's not just about the numbers, it's the narrative impact. Then there's Light, another cleric and wizard cantrip. You touch an object and boom, it sheds light. Seems pretty straightforward.
But consider the implications for exploration, especially in those classic dungeon delves. Instead of constantly rationing torches, right, you can imbue a weapon or a piece of jewelry with light, keeping your hands free.
Oh, yeah.
And it lasts for a full hour. Imagine the tactical flexibility of being able to illuminate specific areas on the fly or even using colored light as signals, if your DM is cool with that.
Now, here's a cantrip that might not jump off the page, but it's a real workhorse. Mending. Both clerics and wizards get this one. It lets you repair a single break or tear in an object. Sounds kind of specific.
It might seem niche, but think about the creative problem-solving it enables. A broken cart axle miles from civilization, a snapped arrow shaft at a crucial moment, assuming it's non-magical, of course.
Right.
A torn map leading to a hidden treasure mending can be an absolute lifesaver. It encourages you to think beyond just combat and interact with the environment in meaningful ways.
Good point. Another cleric cantrip, Resistance, is like Guidance's defensive cousin. You touch a creature, and they get to add a d4 to one saving throw they make within the next minute.
Saving throws.
Yeah, for those who might be newer to D&D, a saving throw is like a die roll against a certain ability to resist a magical effect or, a dangerous situation. That little +1 to +4 could be the difference between shrugging off a nasty spell and suffering its full consequences.
Exactly. What stands out with both Guidance and Resistance is their proactive use. You cast them before you even know if a roll will be needed, offering a potential edge in a wide range of scenarios. It's about preparing for the unknown.
Yeah, hedging your bets. Moving on to damage-dealing cantrips, clerics have Sacred Flame. What's really interesting here is a specific rule. The target gains no benefit from cover for this saving throw, so those sneaky goblins ducking behind barrels.
That's a crucial advantage. Usually, if a target has cover, it makes it harder for ranged attacks to hit. But Sacred Flame bypasses that for its dexterity saving throw. It provides a reliable offensive option when your target thinks they're safely hidden. No dodging that divine light.
Nice. Clerics also have Spare the Dying. This one is purely about preventing a character from meeting an untimely end. You touch a living creature that has 0 hit points and they become stable.
Right.
For those unfamiliar, at 0 hit points, a character starts making death saving throws, and failing 3 means, well, game over. Spare the Dying stops that process. Cold.
It's an invaluable cantrip, especially in a chaotic fight when your dedicated healers might be busy or down themselves. It buys you precious time to administer healing potions or cast more powerful healing spells later.
Absolutely essential sometimes. Let's switch gears to the arcane side of things. Wizards have dancing lights. You conjure up to 4 glowing lights that can take various forms, torches, orbs, even vaguely humanoid shapes.
This cantrip has fantastic tactical potential. You can use them to scout ahead, illuminating a wider area than a single light source, or even create distraction.
Oh, yeah, distractions.
Imagine those humanoid-shaped lights flickering through a darkened corridor. Are they allies, enemies, or just illusions? It can sow confusion and buy your party an advantage.
Okay, I like that. And then we have the quintessential wizard damage cantrip, Firebolt. It deals a reliable amount of fire damage, and a nice little extra is that it can ignite flammable objects. Always good to have a bit of fire-starting magic on hand, right?
A straightforward offensive option with a useful secondary effect. Remember, interacting with the environment can often be as impactful as a direct attack. Setting a barricade on fire or triggering some kind of chain reaction can totally change an encounter.
True. Mage Hand is practically a wizard's calling card, and for good reason. It lets you manipulate objects at a distance with an invisible spectral hand.
Its versatility is incredible. From retrieving a key from across a dangerous chasm to subtly disarming a tripwire without putting yourself in harm's way. Mage Hand encourages creative problem solving. It can prevent so many of those, oops, I triggered the trap moments.
Wizards also get Minor Illusion. This one is all about creating visual or auditory illusions. A fake wall, the sound of footsteps, a phantom chest.
What's really interesting to understand about Minor Illusion is what it doesn't do. It lacks tactile.
Yeah.
You can't touch it and feel it, and beyond simple sounds you choose, it's not really auditory in a complex way, and definitely no olfactory elements, no smells.
Right, so no smell of gold.
Exactly. So while you can create the image of a treasure chest, someone could reach right through it, and it wouldn't smell of gold or feel like wood. But for visual deception and adding flair to your role-playing, it's incredibly powerful.
And for pure fun and those little magical flourishes, there's prestidigitation. Wizards can use it to create fleeting sensory effects, clean or soil small objects, and make tiny non-magical things appear and disappear.
It's the ultimate flavor cantrip. While it might not win you any major battles directly, prestidigitation can enhance your role-playing and create memorable moments.
Yeah.
Imagine a wizard constantly polishing their spectacles with a flick of their wrist.
Ah, yeah.
Or summoning a small flower to offer an NPC. It's all about adding those little touches of magic to the world.
Love it. Ray of Frost is another wizard damage cantrip, and it comes with a cool little added effect. If it hits, it reduces the target's speed by 10 feet until the end of their next turn.
That speed reduction can be strategically vital for controlling the battlefield. You can prevent enemies from reaching your more vulnerable party members or help your melee fighters close the distance. It's a subtle form of battlefield control.
Good utility. Shocking Grasp is a melee spell attack for wizards, and it has a couple of key advantages. First, you have advantage on the attack roll if the target is wearing metal armor.
Oh yeah, Zap.
Hey, exactly. Second, if you hit, the target can't take reactions until the start of their next turn. For those newer to the game, a reaction is a special type of action you can take outside of your turn, often to avoid danger or make an opportunity attack.
That inability to take reactions can be incredibly powerful. It can prevent an enemy from making an opportunity attack if you try to move away, or perhaps even more crucially for spellcasters, it can stop them from casting a counterspell against you.
Ah, stopping counterspell. Big deal.
Yeah. It's a great option for a wizard who finds themselves unexpectedly in close combat.
Now let's talk about True Strike. This wizard cantrip grants you advantage on your next attack roll against the target. Seems good on paper, but...
This raises an important consideration about action economy. In D&D, you typically only have one main action per turn.
Right.
Spending your action to cast True Strike means you're hoping to get a better attack on your next turn. Often, you might be better off just making an attack roll in the current turn and another in the next.
So usually not worth it.
Well, there are niche situations where it can be useful, like setting up a single high-impact attack with a low chance to hit otherwise, or if you absolutely must hit with a crucial spell attack on the following round, but mostly. Yeah, maybe skip it.
Okay. We also have Produce Flame, a conjuration cantrip available to druids that creates a flickering flame in your hand. It provides light and can also be hurled as a ranged spell attack for fire damage. It's like a 2-in-1 cantrip.
Exactly. It combines both utility, a light source, and offense, a ranged attack. Offers flexibility for characters who might not want to get into melee.
Warlocks have their signature cantrip, Eldritch Blast. It starts with a single beam of force damage, but here's where it gets really interesting. As the Warlock gains levels, it shoots multiple beams.
That's right. At 5th level, it becomes 2 beams, then 3 at 11th, and finally 4 at 17th level. What's crucial is that each beam is a separate attack roll.
Separate rolls, wow.
Yeah, meaning you have multiple chances to hit and can even target different creatures. It's widely considered one of the most potent damage-dealing cantrips in the game, offering consistent and scalable offensive power.
Okay, yeah. Eldritch Blast is iconic.
Yeah.
And finally, for cantrips, we have Shillelagh, a transmutation cantrip primarily for druidry, though sometimes available to others through feats or subclasses. It's particularly useful for characters who want to fight in melee, using their spellcasting ability modifier, usually wisdom.
What's so clever about Shillelagh is how it allows traditionally more magically focused classes to be effective in melee. It makes a club or quarterstaff magical and lets you use your spellcasting ability mod like Wisdom for both attack and damage rolls with that weapon for a short duration.
So your wise druid can actually hit hard with a stick.
Pretty much. This opens up exciting character build possibilities.
Last but not least in the cantrip category is thaumaturgy, another transmutation cantrip, primarily for clerics. This one is all about those dramatic, minor magical effects for role-playing booming your voice. Yeah, causing flames to flicker dramatically, creating harmless tremors in the ground, stuff like that.
It's pure theatrical magic, perfect for intimidation, adding flair to your spellcasting, or simply making your character's presence known in a memorable way. Think of it as the ultimate cantrip for dramatic entrances and exits.
All right, we've laid the groundwork with cantrips. Let's unpack the next level of magic and delve into first-level spells, where we start expending those precious spell slots.
Right.
For those who might be newer, spell slots are the magical energy you use to cast most spells, and once you've used them, you can't cast spells of that level again until you finish a rest, usually a long rest.
Exactly. First-level spells represent a significant step up in power and often offer more specific and impactful effects. Each casting consumes a first-level spell slot, so choosing wisely is key.
Let's kick things off with Alarm, a wizard spell. As the name suggests, it sets up an early warning system against unwanted visitors in an area or on a door or window.
What's really useful about Alarm is its customization. You can designate specific creatures that won't trigger it, so your party members won't set it off constantly.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. You also get to choose whether the alert is mental, a quiet ping in your mind if you're within a mile, or audible, loud ringing sound within 60 feet, actually. This makes it incredibly versatile for setting up secure rest areas or guarding important locations.
Clerics get Bane, a spell that can affect up to 3 creatures within range, imposing a penalty on their attack rolls and saving throws for the duration.
This is a fantastic debuff spell early on, forcing your opponents to subtract a d4, that 4-sided die again, from their attack rolls, and saving throws can significantly shift the odds in your favor, especially when you're facing multiple enemies.
And it scales.
Yeah, as you gain spellcasting levels, you can even target more creatures with it by using higher level slots.
Nice. For those tricky social encounters, wizards have Charm Person. As the name implies, it can make someone friendly towards you.
However, it's important to understand the nuances. The charmed creature regards you as a friendly acquaintance for the duration. It doesn't mean they suddenly consider you their best friend or will blindly follow your every command.
So, not mind control.
Definitely not. They are simply more open and well-disposed towards you. It can be great for getting information or negotiating, but yeah, it's not mind control. And they know they were charmed afterwards.
Okay. Another useful cleric spell is Command, which lets you issue a single one-word command to a target you can see within range. They then have to make a wisdom saving throw to resist following your order for that turn.
The simplicity of command is its strength. A well-chosen command like flee, drop, or grovel can completely disrupt an enemy's actions or create an opening for your party.
Grovel, I like that.
Yeah. Just remember, it doesn't work on undead, and the command can't be directly harmful to the target.
Got it. Both clerics have access to detect evil and good. This spell allows you to sense the presence of certain creature types like celestials, fiends, undead, as well as any place or object that has been consecrated or desecrated within 30 feet.
It's a valuable tool for gathering intel about your surroundings, identifying potential threats, or locating places of religious significance. It's worth noting, though, that it has limitations and can be blocked by certain materials, like a thin sheet of lead.
Similarly, detect magic, available to both wizards and clerics, and importantly, it can be cast as a ritual.
Oh yeah, ritual casting is great.
It lets you sense the presence of magic within 30 feet, and even identify the school of magic involved. Schools like evocation or transmutation. Ritual casting means you can cast it over 10 minutes without using a spell slot.
Detect magic is absolutely essential. Identifying magic items, detecting magical traps, understanding ongoing magical effects. The ritual casting option is particularly useful for out-of-combat situations when you have the time.
For those moments when you need to blend in or go unnoticed, wizards have Disguise Self. This lets you change your physical appearance.
Disguise Self is a fantastic tool for social encounters, infiltration missions, or even just avoiding unwanted attention. You can alter your clothes, hair, facial features, even your apparent race and gender.
Pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, but remember, it's an illusion. It doesn't hold up to physical inspection. If someone pats you on the back, they might feel your real clothes underneath.
Okay. Wizards can use Expeditious Retreat to gain a significant boost to their movement. For the duration, taking the dash action, which lets you move your full speed again, becomes a bonus action on each of your turns.
Right, normally dash is an action.
Yeah. In D&D, you typically get one main action and one bonus action per turn.
Expeditious Retreat is excellent for escaping dangerous situations quickly or just zooming across the battlefield. Being able to move your full speed as your action and then dash again as a bonus action dramatically increases your mobility. Great for kiting enemies.
False Life, another wizard spell, grants you temporary hit points. Think of temporary hit points as like a buffer that absorbs damage before your regular hit points do.
False Life provides a nice cushion to increase your survivability, especially for spellcasters who tend to be a bit more fragile. Those temporary hit points don't stack, and they don't last indefinitely, but they can definitely help you weather some early hits in a fight.
When the ground suddenly disappears beneath your feet, Featherfall is a literal lifesaver for wizards. If you or a creature within 60 feet is falling, the spell slows the descent to a gentle float.
Absolutely crucial. It can completely negate potentially lethal fall damage, and it's a reaction spell.
Reaction.
Yeah, meaning you can cast it when the trigger falling occurs, even if it's not your turn. Plus, it can affect up to 5 falling creatures within range when you cast it.
Wow, 5 creatures. Okay. Now we come to a truly iconic wizard spell. Find Familiar. This is a ritual spell that conjures a spirit in the form of a small animal to serve you as a magical companion.
The benefits of having a familiar are huge. You can communicate with it telepathically up to 100 feet, and even perceive through its senses, see through its eyes, hear through its ears by using your action.
That's amazing for scouting.
Totally. Your familiar can also perform simple tasks, deliver touch spells for you at a distance, which is fantastic for wizards.
Oh, yeah.
And it can use its action to take the help action, granting you or an ally advantage on the next attack roll against a creature it's adjacent to.
And the forms. Bat, cat, hawk.
Right. Owl is a popular one for its flyby trait. Different forms offer different senses or movement types. And the fact that the familiar is a celestial, fey, or fiend in spirit adds a wonderful layer of flavor.
Grease, a classic wizard spell, can turn a 10-foot square area into slippery, difficult terrain and potentially knock creatures prone if they fail a dex save. Difficult terrain costs extra movement.
Grease is fantastic for battlefield control. Creating a slick area can slow down pursuing enemies, break up their formations, and leave them vulnerable if they fall prone. Plus, it's just funny.
It is pretty funny. For those crucial healing moments, clerics have Healing Word. What makes this spell particularly useful is its bonus action casting time and its range, 60 feet.
Being able to cast Healing Word as a bonus action is incredibly efficient because it lets you still use your main action on the same turn to attack or cast another spell, maybe a cantrip.
Right. Action economy again.
Exactly. The range also lets you heal allies who aren't right next to you, which is invaluable in dynamic combat.
Wizards get Identify, another ritual spell, primarily used for learning the properties of magic items and spells cast on items or creatures.
If you find a mysterious glowing sword or a scroll covered in arcane symbols, Identify is your go-to. It tells you the item's magical properties, how to use it if it requires attunement, and any curses it might carry.
So you don't put on the cursed helmet.
Precisely. The ritual casting means you don't have to burn a valuable spell slot if you have the time and the 100 GP Pearl component.
Right, components. Simple but sometimes surprisingly effective, Jump is a wizard spell that temporarily triples your jump distance for a minute.
While perhaps situational, Jump can be useful for navigating tricky terrain, leaping over pits, or reaching higher ledges that might otherwise be inaccessible. Combine it with high strength for some serious leaps.
Similarly, Longstrider, another wizard spell, increases a creature's walking speed by 10 feet for an hour. No concentration required.
Longstrider is a more consistently useful buff than Jump, especially for characters who need to move around the battlefield frequently, or for covering long distances out of combat. That extra 10 feet adds up.
For defense, wizards have Mage Armor, which provides a base armor class, AC, of 13 plus their dexterity modifier for 8 hours. AC is how hard you are to hit.
Mage Armor is a must-have for many wizard characters, sorcerers too, who aren't wearing physical armor. It provides a reliable baseline defense that scales with their dexterity, making them much harder to hit. Lasts a long time too.
Another classic wizard spell is Magic Missile. It launches 3 bolts of pure magical energy that automatically hit their target or targets, dealing 1d4 plus 1 force damage each.
The fact that the missiles automatically hit makes Magic Missile incredibly reliable, especially against high AC targets, or when you just need to guarantee that some damage gets through. No attack roll needed.
Guaranteed damage is always nice.
And force damage is rarely resisted. Plus, you can target multiple creatures.
Protection from evil and good, available to both clerics and wizards, offers a range of protective effects against certain creature types. Aberrations, celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead.
This spell provides several benefits for a creature you touch. These specific creature types have disadvantage on attack rolls against the target.
Disadvantage, nice.
And the target can't be charmed, frightened, or possessed by them. It's a great defensive buff when you know you're facing those kinds of enemies. Requires concentration, though.
Clerics have Sanctuary, which can protect a willing creature from attacks. If you cast it on someone, bonus action, any enemy who wants to attack or target that creature with a harmful spell must first succeed on a wisdom saving throw.
Right, if they fail to save.
They must choose a different target or lose the attack or spell.
Sanctuary is a very useful defensive buff, especially for protecting vulnerable allies or keeping the healers safe. However, it's important to note that if the protected creature attacks, casts a spell that affects an enemy, or deals damage, the Sanctuary ends.
Okay. Can't attack from safety. Wizards get Shield, a reaction spell that provides a significant temporary boost to your AC. When you are hit by an attack or targeted by Magic Missile, you can use your reaction to cast Shield.
What does it do?
Adds +5 to your AC until the start of your next turn, including against the triggering attack, and you take no damage from Magic Missile.
Shield is an excellent reaction to boost your survivability. That +5 to AC can often turn a hit into a miss, potentially saving you from a big chunk of damage. It's a staple for arcane casters.
For creating visual illusions, wizards have Silent Image. You can create the illusion of an object, a creature, or some other visible phenomenon no larger than a 15-foot cube.
Silent Image is versatile for deception, distraction, or even creating temporary cover. The key is that creatures can use their action to make an intelligence investigation, check against your spell, save DC, to see if it's real.
So it needs interaction to disbelieve.
Physical interaction reveals it's an illusion immediately, because things pass through it. But just looking, they need to use an action and make that check.
Gotcha. Sleep, a wizard spell, can be surprisingly potent at lower levels. It affects creatures based on their current hit points, potentially knocking them unconscious.
Sleep is very powerful in the early game against groups of weaker enemies. You roll 5d8, and that total is the pool of hit points it can affect. It targets creatures with the lowest current hit points first, within a 20-foot radius, until the pool is depleted.
So it takes out the weakest ones first.
Exactly. It's important to remember that it doesn't work on creatures immune to being charmed, or on undead or constructs.
Right. Finally, for first level, we have Thunderwave for wizards. It deals 2d8 thunder damage in a 15-foot cube originating from you, and can also push creatures 10 feet away from you on a failed Constitution save.
Thunderwave is a great offensive option for dealing with enemies clustered right in front of you, and the push effect can create tactical advantages, knocking enemies off ledges, into hazards, or just away from you.
Creates breathing room.
Yeah, exactly. And it's audible out to 300 feet, so not exactly subtle.
Okay, that gives us a solid look at some key first-level spells. Now let's move on to second-level spells, where the magical effects become even more versatile and impactful. These cost a second-level spell slot.
Second-level spells often provide enhanced versions of lower-level effects or introduce entirely new strategic possibilities, letting spellcasters exert more control over the battlefield and social interactions.
Wizards get Alter Self, which grants versatile options for temporary physical transformation for an hour with concentration.
Alter Self is a fantastic spell. You can change your appearance, kind of like Disguise Self, but more convincing since it's an actual physical change. Or you can gain features like gills and webbed fingers to adapt to aquatic environments.
Water breathing.
Yep, water breathing and a swim speed. Or you can manifest natural weapons like claws or fangs for unarmed strikes that count as magical. Really versatile.
Arcane Lock, another wizard spell, lets you magically lock a door, chest, or other entryway. It becomes much harder to open. The DC for picking the lock or breaking it increases by 10.
That added DC can make a huge difference, often rendering normal lockpicks or brute force useless. You can also designate creatures who can bypass the lock and set a password.
And Knock.
Yeah, the knock spell suppresses Arcane Lock for 10 minutes, so there's a counter.
Both clerics and wizards have access to blindness deafness. It can inflict either the blinded or deafened condition on a target that fails a con save. Both are pretty bad.
Oh yeah. Blinded means you can't see, auto-fail checks requiring sight, attack rolls against you have advantage, and your attacks have disadvantage. Deafened, you can't hear, and auto-fail checks requiring hearing.
And they save again each turn.
Right, at the end of each of their turns, they make another Constitution saving throw to try and end the condition. But even a round or two of being blinded or deafened can be crucial, and it doesn't require concentration.
Wizards get Blur, a spell that makes you harder to hit. For the duration, concentration up to 1 minute, any creature has disadvantage on attack rolls against you.
Disadvantage on attacks is a strong defensive buff. However, it's important to remember that creatures who don't rely on sight, like those with blind sight or creatures with true sight, aren't affected by Blur.
Okay, so not foolproof. Continual Flame, an evocation spell available to wizards and clerics, creates a permanent, non-magical flame that sheds light like a torch.
The key word here is permanent. Unlike light or other spells, Continual Flame lasts indefinitely until dispelled. It costs 50 GP worth of ruby dust, though, which is consumed.
Ah, a component cost.
Yep. But incredibly useful for permanent light sources in a base, or even on an object you carry. It doesn't require concentration and doesn't generate heat.
Wizards have Darkness, which creates a 15-foot radius sphere of magical darkness. Even creatures with dark vision can't see through it.
Darkness can be a double-edged sword. It completely obscures vision, hindering enemies who rely on sight, including dark vision.
But also your allies.
Right, unless they have a way to see in magical darkness, like the Warlock's Devil Sight invocation. If you can see through it and they can't, it's a massive advantage. It also extinguishes non-magical light sources within it.
Conversely, Dark Vision, another wizard spell, grants the dark vision ability out to 60 feet to a creature you touch for 8 hours.
Dark vision is essential for races that don't naturally have it, especially humans, when navigating dungeons or at night. Makes a huge difference.
Detect Thoughts, a wizard spell, allows you to, detect thoughts. You sense surface thoughts of creatures within 30 feet.
It's incredibly valuable for gathering information. You learn the surface thoughts of intelligent creatures, initially just their presence. As an action, you can focus on one creature to probe deeper, potentially learning its reasoning, emotional state, or something lingering in its mind.
Any limitations?
Yeah, creatures with low intelligence might not have detectable thoughts, language barriers can make interpretation tricky, and some creatures might be shielded from telepathy. Also, the target might become aware you're probing deeper if they succeed on a wisdom save.
Druids have Enhance ability, which temporarily boosts one of a touched creature's ability scores for up to an hour with concentration.
Enhance ability is super versatile. Choose Strength, Bear's Endurance, Dexterity, Cat's Grace, Constitution, Bull Strength.
Right.
Bear's Endurance is Con, Bull Strength is Gerard. Intelligence, Fox's Cunning. Wisdom, Owl's Wisdom. Or Charisma, Eagle's Splendor.
Right, each giving advantage on checks related to that ability.
Exactly. Advantage on strength checks for Bull Strength, Dex checks for Cat's Grace, etc. Bear's Endurance also gives temporary hit points. Really useful buffs for various situations.
Wizards get Enlarge Reduce, a transmutation spell. You can either enlarge a creature or object, making it one size category larger.
Which doubles its weight, gives advantage on strength checks and saves, and adds 1d4 damage to its weapon attacks.
Or you can reduce it, making it one size smaller.
which halves its weight, gives disadvantage on strength checks and saves, and reduces its weapon damage by 1d4. Lots of fun applications for combat and utility, like fitting through small spaces or making an enemy weaker. Requires concentration.
Find Traps, a divination spell mainly for clerics and rangers, reveals the presence and general nature of traps within 120 feet in line of sight.
While Find Traps doesn't pinpoint the exact location or tell you how to disarm it, it provides a valuable warning. It tells you if there's a trap you can see nearby. Note the wording. Sense the presence, not see the trap. It requires concentration.
Gust of Wind, available to druids and wizards, creates a 60-foot-long, 10-foot-wide line of strong wind blowing away from you.
This wind disperses gases, extinguishes small flames like torches, and forces medium or smaller creatures starting their turn there to make a strength save or be pushed 15 feet away.
Pushes them back.
Yeah, and the line itself is difficult terrain. Good for pushing enemies back or clearing fog, requires concentration.
Hold Person, for clerics and wizards, is a powerful control spell. Target a humanoid you can see within 60 feet.
If they fail a wisdom saving throw, they're paralyzed. A paralyzed creature is incapacitated, can't move or speak.
And attacks against them.
Attack rolls against them have advantage, and any attack that hits from within 5 feet is a critical hit.
Ouch.
Yeah. They get another wisdom save at the end of each of their turns to break free. Requires concentration. Game changer against humanoid bosses.
Wizards get invisibility. Touch a creature, make them invisible for up to an hour, requires concentration.
Standard invisibility. Excellent for stealth. The key thing is the invisibility ends immediately if the target attacks or casts a spell.
So no attacking while invisible with this one.
Right. Good for sneaking, not usually for combat advantage, unless you use it carefully.
Knock, a wizard spell. Opens a stuck, locked, or barred door, chest, or container. If it's held shut by a mundane lock, that lock is suppressed for 10 minutes.
It also suppresses arcane lock for 10 minutes. Basically, it just opens things.
Any downsides?
It makes a loud K-N-O-C-K sound audible from 300 feet away. So, not stealthy at all.
Okay. Clerics get Lesser Restoration, a crucial healing spell. Touch a creature.
And you can end one disease or one condition affecting it. The conditions it can end are blinded, deafened, paralyzed, or poisoned.
Essential for removing those nasty debuffs.
Absolutely. Having access to this can get a character back in the fight when they'd otherwise be sidelined.
Levitate, a wizard spell. Target a creature or object within 60 feet.
If it's a creature, they make a con save to resist. On a failure, or if it's willing or an object, you lift it up to 20 feet vertically. You can only move vertically, and only if you use your action to raise or lower it. Requires concentration.
So you can just hang someone in the air?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Good for getting melee enemies out of the fight or lifting allies to high places.
Wizards have Locate Object. Describe or name an object familiar to you.
And you sense the direction to its location, as long as it's within 1,000 feet. You also sense if it's moving. Doesn't work if there's a barrier of lead between you and the object. Requires concentration.
Useful for finding that lost plot MacGuffin.
Exactly. Or just your keys.
Magic Weapon, another wizard spell. Touch a non-magical weapon.
For up to an hour, with concentration, that weapon becomes magical, granting a +1 bonus to attack rolls and damage rolls.
Simple buff, but important.
Very important early on, or when facing creatures resistant or immune to non-magical weapons. Ensures your fighter's attacks actually hurt those ghosts or whatever.
Mirror Image for wizards. Creates 3 illusory duplicates of yourself that hover around you for 1 minute. Doesn't use concentration.
It's a fantastic defensive spell. Each time a creature targets you with an attack, you roll a d20 to see if the attack targets you or one of your duplicates. The duplicates have AC 10 plus your Dex mod. If an attack hits a duplicate, it's destroyed.
So it absorbs potential hits.
Exactly. The more duplicates you have, the higher the chance an attack misses you entirely. Great for survivability.
Misty Step is a phenomenal bonus action teleportation spell for wizards, warlocks, and sorcerers.
Oh yeah, bonus action teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see.
So good for getting out of trouble.
Incredibly versatile. Escape grapples, get out of melee, bypass obstacles, reposition for a better spell angle, all as a bonus action, leaving your main action free. A staple.
Druids have Moonbeam. Creates a 5-foot radius, 40-foot high cylinder of pale light.
When a creature enters the beam for the first time on a turn or starts its turn there, it makes a con save, taking 2d10 radiant damage on a failure, half on success.
And it gets shape changers.
Shape changers make the save with disadvantage, take the damage, and if they fail, they instantly revert to their original form and can't assume a different form until they leave the light.
Wow. Anti-werewolf tech.
Totally. Plus, you can use your action on subsequent turns to move the beam up to 60 feet. Requires concentration.
Ray of Enfeeblement for warlocks and wizards. Fire a black ray at a creature.
On a hit, the target deals only half damage with weapon attacks that use strength for the duration. Concentration, up to 1 minute. They get a con save at the end of each of their turns to end it early.
Good for a weakening big bruiser.
Yeah, cuts their physical damage output significantly.
Wizards get Rope Trick, a unique spell. Touch a length of rope up to 60 feet long.
One end rises into the air until the whole rope hangs perpendicular to the ground. At the top end, an invisible entrance opens to an extra-dimensional space that lasts for an hour.
Like a little pocket dimension.
Exactly. It can hold up to 8 medium or smaller creatures. You can pull the rope up into the space, making it inaccessible from outside. Attacks and spells can't cross the entrance. Great for a short rest or hiding.
Scorching Ray for wizards. Creates 3 rays of fire. Make a ranged spell attack for each.
On a hit, a ray deals 2d6 fire damage. You can direct the rays at one target or several.
Good burst damage potential.
Yeah, solid damage option, especially if you need to hit multiple targets or just focus fire.
Wizards also have See Invisibility. For 1 hour, you see invisible creatures and objects as if they were visible, and you can see into the ethereal plane.
Absolutely crucial for dealing with invisible enemies or detecting hidden magical traps or objects. Seeing into the ethereal is a nice bonus, too.
Silence for clerics, bards, and rangers. Creates a 20-foot radius sphere of silence centered on a point you choose. Lasts up to 10 minutes, requires concentration.
Inside the sphere, no sound can be created or passed through. Any creature or object entirely inside is deafened. Casting spells with verbal components is impossible inside.
Shuts down enemy casters.
Can do. Also useful for stealth or nullifying thunder damage. Very strategic spell.
Spider Climb. Available to druids, sorcerers, and wizards. Touch a willing creature.
For an hour concentration, the target gains a climbing speed equal to its walking speed, and it can climb difficult surfaces, including upside down on ceilings, without needing to make ability checks.
Walk on walls and ceilings.
Yep, fantastic mobility for exploration and getting tactical advantages in combat.
Clerics have Spiritual Weapon, a fantastic bonus action spell. Creates a floating, spectral weapon within 60 feet.
When you cast it, you can make a melee spell attack against a creature within 5 feet of the weapon. On a hit, it deals 1d8 plus your spellcasting ability modifier force damage.
And on later turns.
As a bonus action, you can move the weapon up to 20 feet and repeat the attack. It lasts for 1 minute and, crucially, does not require concentration.
No concentration. Bonus action attack. That's amazing.
It's incredibly efficient and a consistent source of extra damage for clerics. I must have.
Suggestion. Available to bards, sorcerers, warlocks, and wizards. Influence a creature you can see that can hear and understand you.
You suggest a course of activity, limited to a sentence or two, and magically influence it to follow. The suggestion must be worded to sound reasonable. Asking it to stab itself, for example, wouldn't work.
So flee might work. Or give me the gem.
Flee is probably reasonable if it's scared. Give me the gem might work if you phrase it cleverly. If it fails a wisdom save, it pursues the suggested action to the best of its ability for up to 8 hours. Concentration. If the suggested act is obviously harmful to it, the spell fails.
Powerful social tool.
Very. Can avoid combat or turn enemies into temporary, if unwilling, helpers.
Finally, for second level, Web for Wizards. Creates a 20-foot cube of thick, sticky webs centered on a point within range.
The webs fill the cube and last for an hour. Concentration. They're difficult terrain and lightly obscure the area. Any creature starting its turn in the webs or entering them must make a dex save or be restrained.
Restrained is bad.
Very. Speed becomes 0. Attacks against it have advantage, its attacks have disadvantage, and it has disadvantage on dex saves. A creature can use its action to make a strength check to break free.
And the webs are flammable.
Oh yeah. Any 5-foot cube exposed to fire burns away in 1 round, dealing 2d4 fire damage to any creature starting its turn in the fire. Excellent battlefield control.
Okay, we've covered a significant number of spells. Now let's move on to third-level magic. This is often considered a major power spike for spellcasters, unlocking abilities that can truly shape the course of a game. Requires a third-level spell slot.
Third-level spells often introduce more potent offensive capabilities, wider-reaching control effects, and more versatile utility options, marking a significant step up in a spellcaster's potential. Definitely a big tier.
Wizards get Blink. A bit weird, this one. Roll a d20 at the end of each of your turns for the duration, 1 minute, no concentration. On an 11 or higher, you vanish into the ethereal plane.
Right. While ethereal, you can see and hear the material plane, where you were, as gray and muted. And you can only affect and be affected by other ethereal things. You can move, but you can't interact with the material plane.
Then you return.
At the start of your next turn, you return to an unoccupied space of your choice within 10 feet of where you vanished. If no space is available, you appear in the nearest one. So it's a 50% chance each round to just disappear and be safe from most harm.
Unpredictable defense.
Exactly. Can be great, can also be annoying if you wanted to do something on your turn.
Clairvoyance for wizards, clerics, and bards. Creates an invisible sensor within 1 mile at a location familiar to you or an obvious unfamiliar one, like behind a door.
You choose seeing or hearing. You can use the sensor for up to 10 minutes, concentration. Great for scouting or eavesdropping safely.
The quintessential anti-magic spell, counterspell, is a reaction available to wizards, sorcerers, and warlocks.
When you see a creature within 60 feet casting a spell, you can use your reaction to try and interrupt it. If the spell is 3rd level or lower, it automatically fails.
Auto fails. Nice.
If it's 4th level or higher, you make an ability check using your spellcasting ability. The DC is 10 plus the spell's level. On a success, the spell fails.
So you can potentially stop even high-level spells.
Yes. It's an absolute staple for any arcane caster wanting to control the battlefield. Shutting down enemy spells is huge.
Clerics have high free. Create food and water. Creates 45 pounds of food and 30 gallons of water on the ground or in containers within range. Enough for 15 humanoids for 24 hours.
Invaluable for survival campaigns. Removes the need to track rations or forage constantly. The food is bland, but nourishing.
Both clerics and druids can cast daylight. Creates a 60-foot radius sphere of bright light centered on a point or object within range. Lasts 1 hour, no concentration.
Importantly, if any of this spell's area overlaps with an area of magical darkness created by a spell of 3rd level or lower, the spell that created the darkness is dispelled.
So it counters darkness.
Exactly, and it's actual bright light, good against creatures sensitive to sunlight, unlike continual flame.
Dispel magic for clerics, wizards, druids, paladins, sorcerers, warlocks. Lots of classes get this. Choose 1 creature, object, or magical effect within 120 feet.
Any spell of 3rd level or lower on the target ends. For spells of 4th level or higher, you make an ability check using your spellcasting ability against a DC of 10 plus the spell's level. Success ends the spell.
So, targeted anti-magic.
Right. Good for removing buffs from enemies, debuffs from allies, or getting rid of magical traps or barriers. Very versatile.
Wizards get fear. Projects an illusion in a 30-foot cone. Creatures in the cone must make a wisdom save.
On a failure, they drop whatever they're holding and become frightened for the duration. Concentration up to 1 minute. While frightened, they must use their action to dash away from you by the safest route on each turn, unless they have nowhere to move.
Sends them running.
Pretty much. If they end their turn out of line of sight, they can make another wisdom save to end the effect. Great crowd control.
The iconic fireball, a wizard and sorcerer staple. Point your finger, choose a point within 150 feet.
And a streak of fire erupts into a 20-foot radius sphere explosion. Creatures in the radius make a dex save, taking 8d6 fire damage on a failure, half on success.
8d6. That's a lot.
It's the benchmark for area damage at this level. Ignites flammable objects too. Just boom. Very satisfying.
Wizards and sorcerers can cast fly, touch a willing creature.
They gain a flying speed of 60 feet for up to 10 minutes concentration. Opens up huge tactical possibilities, bypassing obstacles, attacking from above, escaping ground threats, essential utility.
Gaseous form for wizards, sorcerers, and warlocks. Touch a willing creature.
They transform into a misty cloud for up to an hour concentration. They get a flying speed of 10 feet, can enter and occupy other creature spaces, fit through tiny cracks.
Sounds great for infiltration.
It is. They also gain resistance to non-magical damage and advantage on strength, dex, and con saves. The downside, they can only take the dash action on their turn. Can't attack or cast spells.
Ah, okay. More utility than combat, then.
Primarily, yes. Good for escape or scouting.
Glyph of warding for clerics, wizards, bards, and artificers. Inscribe a glyph on a surface or within an object that can be closed. Takes 1 hour to cast.
You set a trigger condition. When triggered, the glyph erupts. You can store a spell of 3rd level or lower in it, spell glyph, which targets the triggering creature or affects an area. Or you can make an explosive runes glyph that deals 5d8 acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage in a 20-foot radius.
Like setting a magical trap.
Exactly. Great for protecting locations or setting ambushes. The glyph is nearly invisible. Costs 200 GP worth of incense and powdered diamond. Consumed.
Wizards and sorcerers have haste. Target 1 willing creature.
For up to 1 minute, Concentration, their speed is doubled, they get +2 AC advantage on dex saves, and gain an additional action each turn.
An extra action, what can it do?
That extra action can only be used for one weapon attack, dash, disengage, hide, or use an object action. Still, incredibly powerful buff.
Any downside?
Yes. When the spell ends, the target can't move or take actions for one turn as lethargy hits them, so don't lose concentration at a bad time.
Hypnotic pattern for wizards, sorcerers, bards, warlocks. Creates a twisting pattern of colors in a 30-foot cube within 120 feet.
Creatures in the cube that can see it must make a wisdom save. On failure, they become charmed and incapacitated for the duration. Concentration, up to 1 minute. They just stand there, staring blankly.
Takes them out of the fight.
Completely. The effect ends if they take damage or if someone uses an action to shake them awake. Excellent multi-target crowd control.
Lightning bolt, another classic wizard-sorcerer blast. A stroke of lightning forming a line 100 feet long and 5 feet wide blasts out from you.
Creatures in the line make a dex save. 8d6 lightning damage on a failed save, half on success. Similar damage to fireball, but in a line shape. Good for corridors or hitting lined-up enemies.
Magic circle, for clerics, wizards, paladins, warlocks. Creates a 10-foot radius, 20-foot tall cylinder of magical energy for 1 hour.
You choose one or more creature types. Celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, or undead. The circle can either keep those creatures from entering, trap them inside, or provide protection for those inside against them. Disadvantage on attacks from chosen types, advantage on saves against their effects.
So protection or prison.
Pretty much. Can be cast reverse to trap a creature inside. Requires 100 GP worth of powdered silver and iron, consumed if you want it to last longer than 1 round.
Wizards, bards, sorcerers get major image. Creates the illusion of an object, creature, or phenomenon up to a 20-foot cube. Lasts 10 months. Concentration.
It seems real includes sound, smell, and even temperature appropriate to the illusion. Physical interaction reviews it's fake because things pass through it. Much more convincing than silent image.
Clerics have mass healing word. Bonus action, range 60 feet.
You choose up to 6 creatures you can see. Each regains 1d4 plus your spellcasting ability modifier hit points. Efficient multi-target healing as a bonus action.
Meld into stone for clerics and druids. Ritual option available.
You step into a stone object, or a surface large enough to contain you, merging with it for 8 hours. You can't see outside. Perception checks to hear have disadvantage. You can cast spells only targeting yourself while inside.
Safe hiding spot.
Yeah, basically. Provides total cover. Good for ambushes or resting securely.
Druids and rangers have plant growth. 2 options.
Option 1. Instantly cause normal plants in a 100-foot radius to become thick and overgrown. Creatures moving through need 4 feet of movement for every 1 foot moved. Difficult terrain on steroids.
Okay, area control.
Option 2. Cast it over 8 hours in a half-mile radius. Enriches the land, doubling the food yield for 1 year. Great long-term utility.
Protection from energy for clerics, druids, rangers, sorcerers, wizards. Touch a willing creature.
Choose 1 damage type. Acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. The target gains resistance to that damage type for up to 1 hour. Concentration. Halves the damage taken. Very useful defensive buff.
Remove curse for clerics, paladins, warlocks, wizards. Touch a creature or object.
All curses affecting the target end. If it's a cursed magic item, the curse remains, but the spell breaks the owner's attunement so they can get rid of it. Essential for dealing with nasty magical afflictions.
Clerics, bards, and wizards can use sending. Point your finger at a creature you know on the same plane.
Send a message of 25 words or less. The target hears it mentally, recognizes you if they know you, and can reply instantly with a similar message. Doesn't require line of sight. Great long-distance communication.
Sleet storm for druids, sorcerers, wizards. Creates a 20-foot radius, 40-foot high cylinder of freezing rain and sleet for 1 minute concentration.
The area is heavily obscured. The ground is difficult terrain. When a creature enters or starts its turn there, it must make a dex save or fall prone. And any creature concentrating in the area must make a con save or lose concentration.
Wow, that does a lot.
Yeah, it's a nasty combination of obscurement, difficult terrain, prone condition, and concentration disruption. Excellent area control.
Wizards and sorcerers have slow. Affects up to 6 creatures in a 40-foot cube.
Targets make a wisdom save. On failure, their speed is halved, they get -2 to AC and -2 to dex saves, and they can't use reactions. Also, on their turn, they can use either an action or a bonus action, not both. And they can only make 1 melee or ranged attack.
Crippling debuff.
Absolutely. Massively reduces enemy effectiveness. Lasts 1 minute. Concentration.
Clerics and bards have speak with dead, touch a corpse.
Grants the semblance of life. allowing it to answer questions for 10 minutes. It only knows what it knew in life and can only speak languages it knew, can't learn new info. Answers are often brief, cryptic, repetitive. Corpse isn't obligated to be truthful.
Creepy investigation tool.
Can be very useful, yeah. Needs a mouth, can't be undead.
Druids, bards, rangers get speak with plants, gain the ability to communicate with plants for 10 minutes.
You can understand them and impart simple concepts to them. Can turn difficult terrain caused by plants into normal terrain temporarily. Might learn information about nearby creatures, weather, etc. from the plants.
Interesting info source.
Can be. Depends on the plants and the DM.
Stinking cloud. For wizards, sorcerers, bards, creates a 20-foot radius sphere of nauseating gas for 1 minute concentration.
Spreads around corners, heavily obscured. Creatures starting their turn in the cloud must make a con save or spend their action that turn retching and reeling. Creatures immune to poison or that don't need to breathe automatically succeed.
Area denial that wastes actions.
Exactly. Very effective at disrupting enemy plans.
Both clerics, bards, and wizards have tongues. Touch a willing creature.
For 1 hour, they understand any spoken language they hear. Also, when they speak, any creature that knows at least one language and can hear them understands what they say. Breaks down all language barriers. Invaluable.
Water breathing? For druids, rangers, sorcerers, wizards, ritual option.
That's up to 10 willing creatures. For 24 hours, they can breathe underwater. Essential for aquatic adventures.
And finally, for 3rd level, water walk. For clerics, druids, rangers, sorcerers, ritual option.
Touch up to 10 willing creatures. For 1 hour, they can move across any liquid surface water, acid, mud, snow, quicksand, lava, as if it were solid ground. Doesn't protect from damage from things like lava, though. Allows for easy travel across liquids. Another key environmental navigation spell.
We've covered a huge range. Let's now ascend to 4th level spells, where magic truly starts to bend the rules of reality in more significant ways. Requires a 4th level slot.
4th level spells unlock even greater power, often providing more potent offense, more resilient defense, and more far-reaching control over the environment and creatures.
Wizards get Arcane Eye. Creates an invisible magical eye within 30 feet that lasts for an hour. Concentration.
You mentally receive visual information from the eye, which has normal vision and dark vision out to 30 feet. As an action, you can move the eye up to 30 feet, can travel through openings as small as 1 inch.
The ultimate spy drone.
Pretty much. Perfect for scouting without risk. Can't go through solid barriers, though.
Banishment for clerics, wizards, paladins, sorcerers, warlocks. Target 1 creature you can see within 60 feet.
They make a charisma save. On failure, they're banished. If native to your current plane, they go to a harmless demi-plane, incapacitated until the spell ends, concentration up to 1 minute, then they reappear.
Temporary removal.
If they're native to a different plane, they're sent back to their home plane. And if you maintain concentration for the full minute, they don't come back. Permanent removal for extraplanar threats.
Wow, powerful. Blight for druids, sorcerers, warlocks, wizards. Target 1 creature within 30 feet.
Necromantic energy drains moisture and vitality. Target makes a con save, taking 88 necrotic damage on failure, half on success. Plant creatures or magical plants have disadvantage on the save, and non-magical plants just wither and die instantly.
Anti-plant nuke.
And decent single target damage against others, too.
Compulsion, for bards, primarily. Affects creatures you choose in a 30-foot cone.
Targets make a wisdom save. On failure, for the duration, concentration up to 1 minute, you choose a direction. On their turn, they must use their movement to move in that direction via the shortest, safest route.
Herd them like sheep.
Yeah. Forced movement control. Good for tactical positioning or leading enemies into traps.
Confusion, for druids, bards, sorcerers, wizards. Creates a 10-foot radius sphere within 90 feet. Lasts 1 minute. Concentration.
Creatures starting their turn there or entering make a wisdom save. On failure, roll a d10 at the start of their turn to determine behavior. Move randomly, do nothing, attack nearest creature, or act normally.
Pure chaos.
Can be. Disrupts enemy actions unpredictably. Sometimes they attack their friends, sometimes they just stand there.
Control water. For clerics, druids, wizards, choose a body of water you can see within 300 feet. Lasts up to 10 minutes. Concentration.
You get several options. Flood, raise lower water level 10 feet in 100-foot square. Part water, create a trench up to 500 feet long. Redirect flow, change river direction. Or whirlpool, create a vortex in a 50-foot radius that pulls creatures in and damages them.
Massive environmental control.
In the right setting, absolutely game-changing.
Dimension door. For sorcerers, warlocks, wizards, bards. Teleport yourself up to 500 feet to a spot you can see or describe.
You can bring 1 willing creature of your size or smaller who is carrying gear up to its capacity. You both appear instantly.
Mm.
Doesn't require line of sight if you know the destination well.
Long range, quick escape, or infiltration.
Exactly. Very reliable point-to-point teleportation.
Clerics get divination. Ritual option. Takes 1 minute to cast.
You ask a single question concerning a specific goal, event, or activity to occur within 7 days. The DM offers a truthful reply. Maybe cryptic, maybe an omen. Requires 25 GP of incense and a sacrificial offering.
Glimpse into the near future.
Can be, yes. Provides guidance, but often requires interpretation.
Dominate beast. For druids, sorcerers. Target a beast you can see within 60 feet.
It makes a wisdom save. On failure, it's charmed by you for the duration. Concentration up to 1 minute. You have a telepathic link and can issue commands. As an action, you can take total control of its next turn. It gets advantage on the save if you're fighting it.
Turn a monster into a pet.
Temporarily, yes.
Yeah.
Good against dangerous wildlife.
Freedom of movement. For clerics, druids, bards, rangers. Touch a willing creature. Lasts 1 hour. No concentration.
Target's movement is unaffected by difficult terrain. Spell's effects can't reduce speed or paralyze or strain them. Can spend 5-foot movement to escape non-magical restraints or grapples. No penalty for moving attacking underwater.
Ignore movement impairing effects. Really good.
Especially for melee characters who need to stay mobile.
Clerics get Guardian of Faith. Summons a large spectral guardian in an unoccupied space within 30 feet. Lasts 8 hours. No concentration.
If a hostile creature moves within 10 feet of the Guardian for the first time on a turn, it makes a dex save. Takes 20 radiant damage on failure, half on success. The Guardian disappears after dealing a total of 60 damage.
Stationary magical turret.
Pretty much. Good for area denial or protecting a specific spot.
Greater invisibility for bards, sorcerers, wizards. Touch a willing creature. Lasts up to 1 minute. Concentration.
Target becomes invisible. Crucially, attacking or casting spells does not end the invisibility.
Ah, that's the difference. Attack while unseen.
Exactly. Huge advantage in combat. Attack rolls against you have disadvantage, your attacks have advantage. Very powerful buff.
Ice Storm. For druids, sorcerers, wizards. Creates a 20-foot radius, 40-foot high cylinder of hail within 300 feet.
Creatures in the area make a dex save. Take 2d8 bludgeoning and 46 cold damage on failure, half on success. The ground also becomes difficult terrain until the end of your next turn.
Area damage and temporary difficult terrain. Nice combo.
Decent damage and control effect.
Locate creature. For clerics, druids, rangers, bards, wizards. Describe or name a creature familiar to you.
Sense the direction to its location if it's within 1,000 feet. Doesn't work if running water at least 10 feet wide blocks a direct path. Lasts 1 hour, concentration. Can also locate the nearest creature of a specific kind, like human or goblin.
Find someone specific.
Or find the nearest example of a type. Good tracking tool.
Polymorph. For druids, sorcerers, wizards, bards. Transforms a creature you can see within 60 feet into a new form. Lasts up to 1 hour, concentration.
Target makes a wisdom save, if unwilling. On failure, or if willing, transforms into a beast whose challenge rating is equal to or less than the target's level, or CR. Target's game statistics, including mental scores, are replaced by the beast's stats. They retain alignment and personality.
Turn your fighter into a T-Rex. Or an enemy into a rabbit.
Exactly. Incredibly versatile. Can be a massive buff, a debilitating debuff, or provide utility like flight or swimming. Hit points change to the beast's form. Reverting happens at 0 HP or when the spell ends.
Stone shape. For clerics, druids, wizards, touch a stone object of medium size or smaller, or a section of stone no more than 5 feet in any dimension.
You form it into any shape that suits your purpose. Can make crude objects, create openings, smooth surfaces. Can't shape work stone like statues. Last until dispelled.
Manipulate stone terrain or structures.
Yeah, useful for creating cover, passages, or tools on the fly.
Stone skin. For druids, rangers, sorcerers, wizards, artificers. Touch a willing creature. Lasts 1 hour, concentration.
Target gains resistance to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. Very strong defensive buff.
Any catch?
Yes. Requires diamond dust worth 100 GP, which the spell consumes. Expensive.
Wall of fire. For druids, sorcerers, wizards. Creates a wall of fire on a solid surface within 120 feet. Can be a straight line up to 60 feet long, 20 feet high, 1 foot thick, or a ring 20-foot diameter. Lasts 1 minute, concentration.
When it appears, creatures in its space take 5d8 fire damage. Dex save for half. One side you choose deals 5d8 fire damage to creatures ending their turn within 10 feet of it or entering the wall. The other side does nothing, wall sheds bright light.
Great for battlefield control and damage.
Absolutely. Split enemy forces, create hazardous areas, block line of sight. Very effective.
We are now approaching the pinnacle with 5th level spells. These often have dramatic and lasting effects. Requires a 5th level slot.
5th level spells represent a significant leap, capable of summoning powerful allies, manipulating large areas, and inflicting debilitating conditions. Big magic time.
Wizards, bards, sorcerers get animate objects. Choose up to 10 non-magical objects within 120 feet that aren't being worn or carried. Lasts 1 minute. Concentration.
The objects animate. You can command them as a bonus action. They get stats based on their size: tiny, small, medium, large. You can animate 10 copper coins, 5 daggers, 2 suits of armor.
A swarm of angry furniture.
Pretty much. Can be a huge amount of extra attacks and bodies on the field. Very potent.
Anti-life shell. For druids, clerics. Creates a 10-foot radius invisible barrier around you for 1 hour. Concentration.
The shell moves with you. It prevents undead and constructs from passing or reaching through. Living creatures are unaffected. Good protection against specific enemy types.
Wait, I think the basic rules version affects living creatures, preventing them from entering. Let me double check that. Yes, it says undead and constructs can pass through the barrier. My apologies. It blocks living creatures.
Right. Good catch. Yes, it keeps living creatures out. Excellent defensive bubble against most typical enemies. They can try a chalk AI to push through momentarily.
Cloud kill. For sorcerers, wizards. Creates a 20-foot radius sphere of poisonous fog within 120 feet. Lasts 10 minutes. Concentration.
Fog spreads around corners, heavier than air, sinks low, moves 10 feet away from you each round. Creatures starting their turn in the fog make a con save, taking 5d8 poison damage on failure, half on success.
Deadly moving fog bank.
Very dangerous area denial. Persists for a long time.
Clerics have commune. Ritual option. Takes 1 minute.
Contact your deity or divine proxy. Ask up to 3 questions that can be answered with yes or no. Deity must answer truthfully but might be cryptic. Requires 50 GP incense.
Direct line to the divine for yes-no answers.
Powerful information gathering within limits.
Cone of cold for sorcerers, wizards. Blast cold air in a 60-foot cone.
Creatures make a con save. Take 8d8 cold damage on failure. Half on success. Big cone of cold damage. Straightforward blast.
Conjure elemental for druids, wizards. Summon an air, earth, fire, or water elemental within 90 feet. Lasts 1 hour. Concentration.
Elemental is friendly and obeys your commands. If concentration breaks, you lose control, it becomes hostile and might attack you.
High risk, high reward summon.
Definitely. Elementals are powerful allies, but losing control is dangerous. Requires specific components related to the element.
Contagion for clerics, druids. Make a melee spell attack against a creature.
On hit, you afflict it with a disease chosen from a list. Blinding sickness, filth fever, flesh rot, mind fire, seizure, slimy doom. Target makes con saves over several turns to resist the disease's effects, which are quite nasty.
Debilitating disease spell.
Takes time to manifest, but can be very potent if they keep failing saves.
Sorcerers and wizards can cast creation. Pull wisps of shadow material from the Shadowfell to create a non-living object of vegetable matter within 120 feet, up to a 5-foot cube. Lasts a specific duration based on material. Wood 1 day, stone 12 hours, metal 1 hour, gems 10 months. Concentration.
Can create simple items like robe, bridges, tools. The more valuable the material, stone versus wood, the shorter it lasts. Useful utility for conjuring needed items.
Dispel evil and good for clerics, paladins. Lasts 1 minute. Concentration.
Shimmering energy surrounds you. Aberrations, celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead have disadvantage on attacks against you. You also get 2 special options you can use as an action. Break enchantment and 1 charm frightened effect on yourself or someone you touch. Or dismissal, melee spell attack against one of those creature types. On hit, they make Cha save or sent back to their home plane. Strong defensive and offensive tool against specific creature types.
Dominate person for bards, sorcerers, wizards, enchanters. Target a humanoid within 60 feet. Lasts 1 minute. Concentration.
Target makes wisdom save. On failure, charmed. You have a telepathic link. As an action, you can take total control of its next turn. Each time it takes damage, it gets another save. Advantage on save if you're fighting it.
Mind control a person.
Yep, very powerful enchantment. Higher level slots increase duration.
Dream for bards, warlocks, wizards. Choose a creature known to you on the same plane. Last 8 hours.
You enter their dreams. Can appear as a messenger to deliver a message, they remember it clearly, or shape the dream into a nightmare. Target makes Wiz save, takes 3d6 psychic damage on failure, and doesn't benefit from the rest.
Long-distance communication or harassment via dreams.
Creepy, but effective. Needs a creature that sleeps.
Clerics have Flame Strike. Choose a point within 60 feet, 10-foot radius, 40-foot high cylinder of divine fire appears.
Creatures make dex save. Take 46 fire and 46 radiant damage on failure, half on success. Good damage split. Harder to resist both types.
Geese for bards, clerics, druids, paladins, wizards. Place a magical command on a creature within 60 feet. Lasts 30 days. Takes 1 minute to cast.
Target makes wisdom save. On failure, compelled to follow your command or take 5d10 psychic damage once per day, it acts against the command. Command must not be obviously suicidal.
Long-term magical compulsion.
Very powerful for influencing NPCs or captured enemies over time. Higher slots increase duration significantly, 1 year or permanent.
Greater restoration for clerics, druids, bards. Touch a creature.
Ends one of several major conditions. 1 level of exhaustion, 1 charm petrification effect, 1 curse, including attunement to cursed items, any reduction to ability scores, or 1 effect reducing hit point maximum. Requires diamond dust worth 100 GP consumed.
The big reset button for nasty effects.
Absolutely essential healing magic for dealing with serious afflictions.
Hello, a powerful cleric spell. Takes 24 hours to cast. Affects an area up to 60-foot radius.
Area is consecrated. Choose 1 or more creature types: celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, undead. They can't enter the area, suffer disadvantage on saves, attacks inside, etc. You also add 1 extra effect like courage, darkness, daylight, energy protection, everlasting rest, extra-dimensional interference, silence, or tongues. Lasts until dispelled. Costs 1,000 GP of herbs, oils, incense consumed.
Create a permanent sanctuary.
Basically, yes. Very powerful defensive magic for a location.
Hold monster for bards, sorcerers, warlocks, wizards. Choose a creature you can see within 90 feet.
Target makes wisdom save. On failure, paralyzed for the duration. Concentration, up to 1 minute. Gets a save at the end of each turn. Works on any creature, not just humanoids.
Paralyze anything. Huge.
Game-changing control spell against single powerful foes.
Insect plague for clerics, druids, sorcerers. Creates a 20-foot radius sphere swarm of insects within 300 feet. Lasts 10 minutes. Concentration.
Area is heavily obscured, difficult terrain. Creatures starting turn there take 40-10 piercing damage. Con save for half. Bites and stings everywhere.
Area denial, damage, and obscurement. Nasty.
Very effective battlefield control.
Legend lore for bards, clerics, wizards. Name or describe a legendary person, place, or object. Takes 10 minutes to cast.
You learn summaries of legends about the subject, possibly forgotten lore or secret knowledge. Information is cryptic, depends on how much is known. Costs 250 GP incense and 4 ivory strips worth 50 GP each.
Delve into history and myth.
Powerful info gathering for uncovering campaign secrets.
Clerics have mass cure wounds, heals up to 6 creatures you can see within 60 feet.
Each target regains 3d8, plus your spellcasting ability modifier hit points. Big burst of multi-target healing. Very strong recovery spell.
Mislead. For bards, wizards, become invisible while creating an illusory double of yourself within 120 feet. Lasts 1 hour. Concentration.
You can use bonus action to move the double, can see here through it. Invisibility ends if you attack cast spell. Good for distraction and scouting.
Modify memory. For bards, wizards, enchanters. Target a creature within 30 feet. Lasts 1 minute. Concentration.
Target makes wisdom save. On failure, you reshape its memory of an event from the last 24 hours, up to 10 minutes long. Can erase it, change details, implant a false memory. Higher slots affect older memories.
Altering the past. Huge role-playing potential.
And potentially dangerous. Very powerful enchantment.
Pass wall for wizards. Create a passage through stone, wood, or plaster walls up to 20 feet deep. Passage is 5 feet wide, 8 feet high. Lasts 1 hour.
Creates tunnels where there were none. Great for infiltration or escape. When spell ends, creatures inside are safely ejected.
Planar binding for clerics, bards, druids, wizards. Target a celestial, elemental, fae, or fiend within 60 feet. Takes 1 hour to cast.
Target makes charisma save. On failure, bound to serve you for 24 hours. Must follow instructions but can twist them. Higher slots increase duration dramatically up to 1 year. Requires a jewel worth 1,000 GP.
Bind an extra-planar being to your will.
Very potent, but requires capturing one first, usually via a summoning spell.
Clerics and paladins have raised dead. Touch a creature dead no more than 10 days.
Returns to life with 1 hit point. Suffers mitigate 4 penalty to attacks, saves, ability checks. Penalty reduces by 1 each long rest. Doesn't restore missing body parts. Requires diamond worth 500 GP consumed.
Bring someone back but with drawbacks.
Significant resurrection magic, but costly and leaves them weakened.
Scrying for bards, clerics, druids, warlocks, wizards. Takes 10 minutes to cast. Target a creature or location on the same plane.
Create an invisible sensor to see hear the target. Target makes wisdom save to notice sensor. DC 10 plus mods based on your knowledge connection. Lasts 10 minutes. Concentration. Requires focus worth 1000 GP.
Long-range magical surveillance.
The classic crystal ball spell. Very useful information gathering.
Seeming for bards, sorcerers, wizards. Affects any number of willing creatures within 30 feet. Lasts 8 hours.
Changes their appearance, clothing, armor, weapons, physical features. Doesn't hold up to physical inspection. Great for mass disguise.
Telekinesis for sorcerers, wizards. Choose creature or object within 60 feet. Lasts 10 minutes. Concentration.
Exert your will. Can move object up to 1,000 pounds. Can try to move or restrain a creature. They make strike check versus your spell attack roll.
Yeah.
Use action each turn to maintain control.
Move things with your mind.
Classic power.
Very versatile utility and control.
Teleportation circle. For wizards, bards, sorcerers. Takes 1 minute to cast. Creates portal within 10 feet linking to a permanent teleportation circle you know.
Portal lasts 6 seconds. 1 round. Anyone stepping through appears at destination. Can also spend a year casting this daily to make a permanent circle. Requires chop sinks worth 50 GP per casting day for permanent circle.
Fast travel network. If you know the sigil sequences, yes. Essential for high-level campaigns.
Finally, for 5th level, Wall of Force for wizards. Creates an invisible wall of force up to 100 feet long, 10 feet high, 14-inch thick, or a sphere dome up to 20-foot diameter. Lasts 10 minutes. Concentration.
Wall is immune to all damage. Can't be dispelled by dispel magic. Nothing can physically pass through. Blocks line of effect for most spells. Completely seals off an area.
The ultimate barrier.
Incredibly powerful battlefield control. Few things can bypass it.
Okay, we have now reached the apex. 6th to 9th level spells. We won't detail every single one, but let's just touch upon the incredible scoop here. These require high-level slots and have world-altering potential.
Indeed. This is where magic gets truly epic. Reshaping reality, controlling huge groups, unparalleled information, and power.
At 6th level, stuff like mass suggestion for influencing crowds, true seeing to pierce all illusions, move earth for large-scale terrain shaping.
Yeah, and chain lightning for bouncing damage, circle of death for mass necrotic damage, contingencies to set up spell triggers on yourself, eye bite for ongoing debuffs, guards and wards for extensive magical security.
7th level brings teleport for cross-planar travel, resurrection, which can restore missing body parts unlike raised dead, and force cage for an inescapable prison.
Plus delayed blast fireball for a timed explosion, divine word for potentially killing, stunning, blinding based on HP, etherealness to travel the ethereal plane, mirage arcane to reshape landscapes with illusion, plane shift for planar travel.
8th level features mind-bending magic like dominate monster to control almost anything, feeble mind to cripple intelligence, and mind blank for total mental protection.
Also anti-magic field, creating a sphere where magic doesn't function, clone to ensure your return from death, earthquake for massive destruction, power word stun to instantly stun weaker foes.
And finally, 9th level, the legendary wish spell that can do almost anything. True polymorph to permanently change creatures' objects.
Foresight for constant advantage and enemy disadvantage, mass heal for huge group healing, meteor swarm for raining fiery death, power word kill to instantly slay creatures under 100 HP, shape change to become almost any creature, time stop to take extra turns, true resurrection to bring back long-dead creatures with no penalties. Just phenomenal power.
It's truly mind-boggling, the possibilities. We strongly encourage you, the listener, to explore the full lists for each class and level on D&D Beyond or in the Player's Handbook to uncover even more magical secrets.
Absolutely. Understanding the vast breadth of magical options available at all levels is key to playing effective, creative, and truly powerful spellcasting characters in D&D.
Okay, let's bring this deep dive to a close. We've journeyed through a wide selection of D&D 5e spells, from the foundational cantrips all the way up to the reality-bending powers of the highest levels.
Yeah, highlighting their diverse uses and potential for enhancing your gameplay.
The key takeaway here is that a solid understanding of the available spells is absolutely crucial for effective character building, strategic decision-making in combat, and creative problem-solving in all aspects of your D&D adventures.
We sincerely hope this exploration has provided you with some aha moments and sparked new ideas for how you might incorporate these spells into your current or future characters and campaigns.
So, what spell stood out to you the most? Have you had any particularly memorable or creative uses for any of the spells we discussed today in your own games? We'd absolutely love to hear about it down in the comments below.
Yeah, share your stories.
Also, if there are any other aspects of D&D 5e that you'd like us to take a deep dive into in future discussions, please let us know. We're always looking for new topics to explore. And of course, if you enjoyed this magical journey, please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth D&D content.
Remember, the world of Dungeons & Dragons is brimming with boundless possibilities, and magic is one of its most potent and exciting forces. Keep exploring the spell lists, keep learning about their potential, and may your spells always find their mark and add incredible depth and fun to your adventures.